case of Dele Farotimi, it is now the case is now like Dele Farotimi versus the police IG, the legal police IG in Nigeria. And you know that Dele Farotimi has been a very huge pain in their ass, right? A huge one for that matter. And if APC, Egbekegbe, want to take any pound of flesh around this time, right, this is their opportunity. An opportunity they probably have been longing for until now. So all of this, Dele Farotimi would have a chance to defend himself. But you know something? It is not about him defending himself. No. It's not about that. The most important thing is that they want to show him the power that they wield. But you know somebody like Dele Farotimi, somebody of his caliber, like David Dundenyi described him. Everything you see on camera of Dele is the same thing you are going to see off camera. He is someone who believes that if you want to fight these monsters, if you want to fight these criminals, you can't fight them in hiding. You have to face them frontally. He knew this was going to happen. And that is why when you see the cowards, it's a coward dies many times before they even die. The humbled slaves, the sophisticated morons, the voluntary slaves in Nigeria and outside Nigeria, who possibly feels like standing up against or standing up to all these rogues, the elites in Nigeria, okay, is like causing trouble. They would rather lick their asses and keep quiet. So to Dele Farotimi, he should be punished for being that daring. He was a smart guy. Before this whole thing, he got this intel and he told us ahead of time.
It came to my knowledge that there is a charge that had been fraudulently preferred against me before a court in Ekiti State at the instance of Chief Afe Babalola. This charge had been fraudulently preferred, hidden from view, and the court had purportedly demanded my presence multiple times, and I had failed to appear before this court. And this court had then proceeded to issue a bench warrant for my arrest. This is classic Afe Babalola. I detailed his corruptive influence in my book, Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System. And what he has done is exactly what he has always done in hiding, but he has done it this time again. And the calculations were that I would have been picked up, taken before this judge who must have either been compromised or misled in Ekiti. And I would have been remanded in prison custody for being somebody who was meant to face trial and who had refused to bring himself to court. I am reliably informed that social media influencers had been paid to spin these narratives after my arrest. Human rights activists have been positioned to start speaking after my arrest, including one Agbaya. High offices in this country have been compromised in pursuit of my persons. High offices, from the Inspector General's office, because the police have been subverted. The Attorney General of the Federation needs to examine himself because his office has been somehow linked to this as well. I do not know if the presidency is directly involved in this, and I will not make frivolous charges. But high offices have been subverted in pursuit of a criminal purpose. I have committed no crime, done nothing wrong. If I have committed any wrong for which the state requires my attendance in a court or at a police station, they know exactly where I live. I will live only once, but I will not live cowering to any man. Let us be clear. If and when I have a charge to answer before a court, you all know where I live. I'm not hiding, and I'm not running away from anybody. Let us be very clear about that. I will never run away from Nigeria. We all have to pretend that we are in a democracy, and we have to pretend that we are citizens, and we have to pretend that we are a country ruled by law. And by all means, you will pretend that we are. I have done nothing. And if I have a charge that should be preferred against me, bring it on. I'm happy to come to court to have my day. If there is a crime, there must be justice, not only for the person who is aggrieved. There must be justice for the accused. And there must also be justice for the system. This is not how to build a rule-based system, where the system itself becomes so criminal that policemen were engaged in criminality.
Just exactly how he said it. The whole script is playing out right now. He said, this court, our judge, that was either being hired, recruited for this purpose, or is being misled, was telling people that Dele Farotimi had case in his court filed by Afe Babalola, and there is no record of any case filed by Afe Babalola in any court in Ekiti. There was no single case against Dele Farotimi in Ekiti until when they kidnapped him. It was after they kidnapped him that they hurriedly presented him in front of a magistrate court in Ekiti. And the magistrate court as well denied his bail, adjourned the case until the 10th of December. So where is the court case against Dele Farotimi in Ekiti prior to 2 days ago? Not a single one. Not a single court. Meanwhile, they've already set up the narrative that there was a case against him. He did not show up. So that is why the court has issued a bench warrant of arrest for him. The criminal policemen that kidnapped him, they did not present any documents, any court document that is wanted by any court. They kidnapped him and then they took him to Ekiti. The following day, they presented him in front of a magistrate court. Just exactly how Dele Farotimi said it was going to play out is how it is playing out now. The police IG is involved. They are going to charge him for criminal this, criminal that on behalf of Afe Babalola. And he said that's exactly how Afe Babalola has been operating. If you cross his path, it will bite you. It doesn't matter whether you are right or wrong. It will bite you. It will use the system. He has been doing it. That not only are lawyers afraid of him, Afe Babalola, lawyers are afraid of him. Politicians are also afraid of him. He is considered the richest man in Ekiti, as well as the most powerful man from Ekiti. So you need to be very careful. Don't cross Afe Babalola. Afe Babalola, Afe Babalola, he can destroy you. He can destroy your career. He can, he can send you to jail. I mean, he controls the judicial. This is the exact thing that Dele Farotimi wrote in his book. And that's the exact thing that is playing out right now. Now, the police IG, 2 days later, the police IG don't take over the case. They are now charging Dele Farotimi with cybercrime, including treason. Yeah. Cybercrime, bullying, harassment on behalf of Afe Babalola. And of course, Tifnumbu's President DOC is involved now. And now it's just one simple phone call. It's all concluded. Let's teach that boy a lesson. Am I worried, Baba? Am I worried? We'll teach him a lesson. And the point is not to bring him to court. You see all these charges, It is not to fight any case. So you understand? The day that one of them will mistakenly grant Dele Farotimi bail, they will stop coming to court. Yeah, they can use their court now to deny him bail. They can keep him there for months. And those of you who are pretty much like a pure cowards, who thinks that you are a free person because you are walking about right now, but you are not free. You are worse than the prisoners that they locked up somewhere. Dele Farotimi knows who is fighting right now is fighting the system, or the system is fighting him, is fighting back. And guess what? The point here is that they are making it obvious that Dele Farotimi's book is not only exposing Afe Babanla Oleo, it is exposing the judiciary, the corruption in Nigeria judiciary. So you can imagine that this is not Afe Babalola alone now. There are so many unseen arms that Dele Farotimi's book has exposed. And somehow, it is time to teach him a lesson. They may even go as far as debarring him. Yeah, they can say Dele Farotimi is no longer a lawyer. He has been debarred. So you should begin to see beyond Dele Farotimi and Afe Babanla Ole now. It is the institutions, so it is the establishment right now. When Dele Farotimi came to London last year, and they were talking about the death of democracy in Nigeria, he delivered this amazing speech. And I've brought that back to us this evening. Just a refresher to let you know the kind of person Dele Farotimi is. Don't cry for him. Cry for yourselves and your liberty. Because as for Dele, he saw all of this coming. The people that are keeping him, they are the cowards that are not bold enough to face him in the court. When he sued Afe Babalola for libel, he has already sued him before. Afe Babalola used his influence. Number one, there is no judge, there is no court that want to listen to the libel case against Afe Babalola from Dele Farotimi. They were avoiding it. Last, at the preliminary argument stage, they said, no, we cannot entertain this case. They threw it out. A well-evidenced case against this Afe Babalola from Dele Farotimi, Nigerian court did not want to listen to it. Now, the same Nigerian court, right, is through the Nigerian police. They want to criminally, imprison Dele Farotimi. It's not because they have any argument. They don't want argument about. They do not have any argument to argue. It is just to start what they normally do. Adjournment. Just keep him in that prison for now. Keep him there. So the same Nigerian police that's also bad. They have banned any public gathering. No protest, no gathering, anywhere. People are already organizing how to actually take it on them, swamp them from the 10th, from next week, Tuesday, to swamp them. Now, the Nigerian police, scared police, they ban protests. I don't know how that is going to go, but we are on it. Dele Farotimi on the death of democracy in that contraption.
I'll struggle and try my best to make myself anybody in Nigeria word hearing. So what was happening? So I decided that I'll situate the question within the context of the theme. Nigeria will try. Does democracy matter? So if you ask me what was happening, I imagine that you're asking what was happening with Nigerian democracy. So I will take it from that point. I think what was happening before now is that Nigerian democracy, and don't worry, we'll time it is over by the time we are coming to the end. I've got 20 minutes, I'm not likely to use them, don't worry. I enjoy the time of my words, so I'll keep it short. So what was happening is very simple. Prior to 2023 election, what has been happening since 1999 is that the Nigerian people have grown largely despondent about our democracy. We'll define it later, don't worry. Our democracy is peculiar in Nigeria. It's not the same as yours. So we'll explain that. So what's been happening is that the people have lost interest. They abandoned it. It became a space that was abandoned largely to the people who have taken over that space today, the charlatans, those who do not have the interest of the Nigerian people.
For the only thing that you will not find on their mind are the interests of the people. And this is clearly evidenced by everything you see when you look around Nigeria. The putrefaction you see, the decadence, the extreme poverty in the midst of plenty, the complete lack of ambition, what you would see in Nigeria was happening, and it was largely bedded in the pot of apathy. Now, that apathy was gotten out of a lack of faith in the system to deliver on its promise of free and fair election. That was one. But it was also found in the knowledge that the political class, and I stretch the bound of credibility when I use the word political and class in relation to the ruiners of Nigeria, it became evident to the people that regardless of which one of the parties happens to be in power, nothing ever changes about the lot of the people. It remained poor, it remained brutish, insecurity was normal. Whoever was in power, there was never going to be power. So the only thing that was certain for the Nigerian was that regardless of which one of the many political parties might be in power at any point in time, nothing was going to change. So in the midst of this, the Nigerians were generally disenchanted and disconnected from the system. In 2015, or in the lead up to the 2015 election, you had a coalition of men. I used to call them the thinking thieves and the unthinking thieves. The thinking thieves were generally those who were governing the state of Lagos. There is always a pretense that some work was being done. They will paint the bad roads, and they did a pretty good job of holding the press, influencing the press to give the impression that something was being done. So they were thinking thieves. They would at least have a genuine budget, even though they would merely put the budget headings, and they would spend the money without doing the work. They would build dilapidated buildings. They would build roads that do not exist. They would concession public properties without regard. They were the thinking thieves. They were AC. And then you had the unthinking thieves who had 16 years in power and really didn't care much about anything, any thoughts. They didn't pretend that they were stealing. They were simply stealing. And in 2015, with the promise of change, the Nigerian people were deceived. The All Progressive Congress was formed, but the only thing progressive about that party has been the progression in stealing and the putrefaction of the Nigerian people. The complete dissipation of hope and the almost total loss of any illusion that Nigeria would be kept together without radical changes taking place. It took 7 years for the Nigerian people to come to the realization of the fact that something new had to happen. And that something new was what you saw in the lead up to the 2023 elections. The people of Nigeria took a decision to change things. So I come to the second part of what I've been asked to speak to. What happened? A coalition of the disadvantaged in Nigeria came together. When I say coalition, I'm speaking specifically to all the victims of Nigeria across the length and breadth of Nigeria. Because those who have benefited from the ruination of Nigeria come from across the length and breadth of Nigeria. They are not divided by ethnicity. They are not divided by religion. And they couldn't care less sometimes even about gender. They are united in their purpose, and their singular purpose is the ruination of Nigeria to their own benefits and to the benefit of those who have aided them in the ruination of Nigeria. So what happened was that those who have for long been disadvantaged by the Nigerian mess began to realize the commonalities of their afflictions. And in the lead up to that election, several persons across the length and breadth of Nigeria, not even working together or in concert with each other, found commonalities. So, a lot of us the people to go out and register to vote. The fact that the Nigerian state had exposed itself shamelessly on October 20, 2020 at Lekki Toll Gate, where it shamelessly murdered an untold number of Nigerian youth, helped to mobilize the youth to become interested in the election. Because in the absence of the legitimate, I will struggle and try my best to make myself.
That was DF in London, giving the backstory or the background story to how what happened in 2023 came by or happened. And then how the ruling class, the lawyers, the bankers, the politicians, and the rest of their clans, gang up easily, came together and truncated that revolution, in which majority of them got so rewarded, and they are still being rewarded as we speak for making that happen. It could have been the damnation of their coven, their court, the court of as he put it, the ruiners of that contraption. And it is also the closest that they were to their end. Something they didn't see coming. That is what happened there in 2023, last year. Dele Farotimi is one ardent, supporters of the change in status quo in that contraption. And that, which all started from his membership of Afenifere. Afenifere is Yoruba socio-political group that Tifnumbu, of all people, felt he had the right to win their endorsement. But unfortunately for him, he didn't get that endorsement from the Yoruba Afenifere. And that sort of threw him like off his feet. Like, what? Could I not get endorsement of Afenifere? Why would I, So the likes of Dele Farotimi, Pa Olu Adebanjo, they automatically became enemies to Tifnumbu's political adventure. The one that he once told all of them that whatever money cannot do, more money will do it. That money failed. It's only that the corrupt system at the time was not really ready for what was about to happen to them. And they had to unite at the last minute to save themselves. Because a lot could have happened. It could have been the end of the establishment if they had let that movement sweep them all off at the time. It was a shock. A shock that a lot of them have now vowed that it will never happen again. The brutality that was unleashed on people was so monumental enough that today, if you call yourself obedient, you are in the cycle of the ruiners of Nigeria. You are considered a mini terrorist because you have become a terror to them, who defied all sort of force of nature, all logic according to them, completely away from their normal pattern of setting things up and things playing out at the end. So Dele Farotimi and many like him, they are not many, have been marked for destruction. So this is an opportunity for them. And it doesn't matter how it looks. It just has to be done. And this is no longer, like I said, it is not just about Afe Babanlaole. The entire establishment will come for every one of us. Every one of us that spoke out and still speaking out against this rotten establishment, against these criminals, they would come for all of us. I know I'm going to have my own day. Do you know that? And I'm not afraid of that. You know? And that is why if you are afraid of death, you probably will be, you'll be a walking corpse even before you finally meet that death. So why don't you try and live first? You have a chance to live now. So why don't you just live right? Why don't you just live in a way that even if you have to die, at the last minutes of that, your death, you can probably be proud of yourself and say, well, at least I lived. I didn't live like a coward. And that's exactly what Dele Farotimi is. Do not feel sorry for him. Do not feel, no. He saw this coming.